Hello, and welcome to a little video about rewriting radicals and rational powers. Now, first things first, let's define radical. A radical is usually referred to a square root, and that is only a square root when there's no little number in its corner, in that little check mark. However, we have several kinds of radicals, well, actually, probably an infinite amount of them. We have a square root with that invisible 2 in its check mark. We have a cubed root with the 3 that's visible in its check mark, 4th root, 5th root. So that check mark officially is called an index. Okay. So starting at 2, we can get just higher and higher. We can go on forever in that positive direction. So those are the types of radicals we may have. Now, what we're going to be practicing is rewriting between radical and rational form, and vice versa. So this is how I like to think about it. First, I like to identify the base. The base is underneath the radical or hanging out, having this exponent when it's in rational form. Then I look for the exponent. The exponent that's underneath the root becomes the top of the rational exponent for rational form. Likewise, if we have a top of a fraction in rational form, that becomes the exponent underneath the root. Lastly, we have the actual root in the index right here. That number becomes the denominator, the bottom of the fraction in rational form. And if you're going the opposite way, we look at the bottom and put that number inside of that index. Let's do this. Okay, first I have the square root of a. For this problem, the base is a. Oh, that was not the prettiest A, but that's fine. Next, I look for the exponent. Well, the exponent here is an invisible 1. So the fraction that a is raised to, that power, gets a 1 on top. Then lastly, I'm looking for the root. The root here is invisible once again, but when we have an invisible root, that means it's a square root, it's a 2. Let's try that again with not invisible numbers. How about that? Okay. So first so let me just read this out loud. The 4th root of c to the 5th. All right, so first we have the base of c. Boom. Then we have the exponent of 5. That's going to become the top of our fraction. Did I pick the wrong color? No, I didn't. Okay. And then I'm going to look at the root, which is 4, and that becomes the bottom of my fraction. So this becomes c to the power of 5/4. All right. In this one, we have the cubed root of y to the 6th. Y is our base. 6 is our exponent. And 3 is our root. Now notice something. That fraction, 6 over 3, I can simplify it. 6 over 3 is 2. So this is actually y to the power of 2. So sometimes we can simplify the rational exponent. Ooh, this problem's a little different. Okay, so this has a number and a variable there. This means that everything under the radical gets the root. So the 8 and the x. We have 2 bases. Right. Let's do the first base. Let's do 8 first. So we have 8. The exponent that 8 has is that invisible 1. Next, the root is 3. Right. 8 to the power of 1/3. Let's do that second base now. The second base we have is x. X has an exponent of 5 And they share the same root, which is an 8. An 8? What? I meant to say a 3. So, oops. So x has an exponent of 5 over 3. Now, I could actually simplify this just a tad. 8 to the power of 1/3 is 2. So this is actually 2x to the power of 5/3. Now, let's go the opposite direction. Let's take rational exponents and make them into radicals. All right. I like starting this off by writing my radical. Okay, so my base is x. X has an exponent of 1. And let's just finish color coding a root of 3. So a power of 1, a root of 3. Now, do you need to write that 1? No, not really. This is really just the cube root of x. We don't need to write x to the first. I want to make sure that you see where it comes from, though. Let's do the same thing with y to the power of 5 over 2. Just like the previous one, I'm going to write down my radical first. And let's begin by identifying the base. The base is y. Okay. The exponent is 5. And the root is 2. Now, do we really need to write that 2 in there? No, we don't. You can skip right to this step. But I wanted to make sure you see how we got there, where that 2 went. P to the 3/4, let's do this one as well. Let's write down the square root and begin, the radical. And now let's begin to identify everything. First we have P, that's our base. We have 3 on top of our fraction, which means that's the exponent for P. And then our denominator here is 4, which becomes our root. There it is. And we can't simplify this any further. So this is the 4th root of P to the 3rd. And let's do one last one, just for practice. Drawing in my root, I begin by identifying the base T, the exponent, which is the top of our fraction, so that's 7, and then the bottom of our fraction, which gives us the root. So we have the 6th root of T to the 7th. Okay, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please make sure to ask either myself or your teachers. Otherwise, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, whatever time of day it is for you. Bye.